more results rolling in. Right now, CBS News is reporting that President-elect Donald Trump has 291 electoral college votes. That's obviously more than 270. But we've not called races in Alaska, Maine, Nevada, and Arizona. So he may end up over 300. We'll have to see.
We will. Vice President Harris is heading back to work in Washington today with 74 days left in the Biden administration. Yesterday, she conceded the race in a speech at her alma mater, Howard University, and she accepted her electoral defeat. Let's take a listen at what she had to say.
We did it with the knowledge that we all have so much more in common than what separates us. Now, I know folks are feeling and experiencing a range of emotions right now. I get it. But we must accept the results of this election. We will engage in a peaceful transfer of power.
I got a big roar. For more on the end of the Harris campaign, let's bring in CBS News correspondent Willie James Inman, who was at the White House. Willie, good morning. So what stood out to you about her speech yesterday?
Hey, good morning to you, Adriana and Tony. Well, Vice President Harris giving that concession speech called on her supporters not only to accept the results of the election, but she also talked about that peaceful transfer of power. And I think that's really interesting because that almost didn't happen in 2020 when you had then former President Donald Trump in the White House. Now, the vice president, she talked about how she called the president-elect and talked about that transition of power. But she also mentioned to her supporters that she would not give up the fight to continue to protect things such as abortion rights and health care. Those are some of the things that I anticipate that her supporters and others will continue to push and challenge the Trump administration on as we move forward with this transition in power. And I'll also note that she thanked President Biden, her supporters. President Biden is a big part of this as well. He dropped out of the race. Remember, he was supposed to be the Democratic nominee. That didn't happen because he dropped out, leaving the vice president just about 100 days or so to mount her campaign for the White House.
You know, Willie, the transfer of power matters for tradition, for what makes America special, also matters for security. It can't be too chaotic. You don't want our adversaries thinking they have an opportunity for anything. So how is the White House preparing for this transition of power?
Yeah, it's already happening behind the scenes. The government is already working on that transition. The General Services Administration is in charge of making this transition happen. And once the agreements are all signed, they will essentially provide office space, IT, salaries provided to staff for the president-elect to be able to make this transition happen. We know that President Biden, he spoke with the president-elect yesterday on the phone. He also talked with the vice president as well, committing to that peaceful transfer of power. So it's already happening and starting behind the scenes, both here in Washington, D.C. and also down in Florida with the president-elect's team.
All right, Willie James Inman, thank you so much.